iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.
The Inheritance came from my love of the novel Howard's End. I was 16 years old and my mother took me to see the movie and I fell in love with it. And then she bought me the book and I fell in love with that. And over the years, it's never left my imagination. And so I wanted to take that story and tell it in a contemporary setting using gay characters from different generations.
The Inheritance is a play about love. It's a play about community and about our place in our community. It's looking at the generations of gay men over the last decade, and not just gay men. It's about the nature of love and humanity and living together.
Adam is a very privileged young adult. He grew up on the Upper West Side. He's had everything handed to him in his life, and he's kind of looking for his place in the world, and he's a young actor. And Leo is kind of the other side of the coin, where he has had everything stripped of him, has nothing to his name, also looking for his place in the world.
How would I describe Toby? He sort of goes beyond description in a way, but I would describe him as a life liver. His vivacity of life for life is what makes him, I think, so attractive and so fun.
It's interesting. The responsibility, I feel, is really just as an actor. If I brought who I am as a human being into it, it would be a completely different thing because it means a great deal to me as a man, as a gay man. But when writing is this good, and when a show is as funny and humane and as alive as this, you really walk through the door as an actor.
It's just been the most incredible artistic, creative experience of my life. I've never experienced anything like it before. And the success that we had in London was just really overwhelming. And bringing the play here now, where it's supposed to live in New York, has really been exciting because we didn't rest on what we did in London. We've been making lots of changes, and we're still in tech right now. And but it's really to adapt it and distill it to a place that is its purest form.
One of the things I'm proudest of is that we take these characters from a place of great innocence at the beginning of the play, simple innocence, and by the end of the play they have changed into these complex characters whose lives have been forged by these new relationships that they form over the play, by the heartbreak that they experience in the play. They become deeper people as a result of the journey, and I love taking audiences on that journey and watching audiences have that experience.
It's a huge sense of responsibility and a huge honor to be able to tell this story where it was conceived, more or less. And I know I'm also from New York. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, and I feel like an enormous pressure to do it justice and to give New Yorkers this story that has the potential to do so many great things for people.
To be the only English character, playing the quintessentially English character in New York, the work is kind of done for me in many ways. I find myself, coining a character of this city, of this time, of this world and this time. And we're actually in the city. I do have to pinch myself sometimes because we played it so many times in London. And what that inevitably does is it brings the city to life in a way that it didn't in London, because of course the city is a character in the story as much as the characters that we meet.
It feels like we've come home with this. It very, very much does. I think there is a responsibility over generations to have a conversation.
There are universal themes that the play deals with and grapples with that people have been grappling with for millennia on this planet. How to live truthfully, honestly, with dignity. How do you love? How do you accept love?
Setting differences and generational experiences aside and learning from each other and looking after each other. And it's also a chance for a great meeting of people to come together and laugh and cry.
Everyone has experienced loss and love. I think everyone kind of contemplates what their place is in this world, and The Inheritance kind of lays those questions right in front of you, not in an intellectual way, but in an emotional way. And it allows people to really feel these things and to deal with the feelings that they've maybe been hiding from their entire life, and it puts it out there in front of the lights for people to look at.
What I love most especially about these American actors who have joined us is that sense of community and that sense of family happen almost instantaneously. The thing that most amazes me about them is how personally they take the work, even though they weren't there when it was created.
Stephen Daldry is just number one. He's simply one of the finest minds and visions that I've ever worked with as a director. He burns with a wild creative ferocity, which if you can follow it and get on that journey, you know that you're assured of being in a very exciting place.
My experience working with Stephen Daldry has been one of the great roller coaster rides of my life. He's a bona fide master, and he's so much fun, and he brings that to this production. He brings such a sense of fun and joy. He's a real kid at heart, and I think the play, for all of its humor and heartbreak, has a real childlike spirit.
It's part of the history of gay plays, and Matthew is so indebted to that writing, but there's something incredibly special about this play which brings the older generation and the younger generation together and asks the question, how can we forge a better future by looking out for one another and being truthful and honest about our history?
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.